What's up, everybody? There's plenty of work. The bosses are playing. All right, y'all, I'm coming. I'm actually trying to get this together so we can get this live on and popping. For you guys who just joined, thank you for supporting. We're about to get into something real. We are about to get into something real. So give me a second, guys. I'll be back on. Let me just close this door. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? I bet you that first person on is my main man, my support partner right there, uh, Bungie Adams. I guarantee you that's him. If it is, Bungie, thank you for joining. If you were just getting started here, like I said, I was going to try to come live every day. So here I am. I'm live, and today, boy, oh boy, do I have a bomb burner for my audience. I don't know how many of you all watch the news, but I can tell you that I don't. But today, baby, let me tell you, man, what's going on in the world? What lengths that they will go to protect the rich and powerful. I knew it was my man Bungie. What's going on, Bungie? Uh, damn, Bungie, God dang it. When you set this up, you have to go live together. So tomorrow when we go live, I'm gonna make sure that I send you the request so that you can go live with me. What's going on, Justin? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? So listen, I'm trying to keep the flow of these lives going on, and I don't want to get mundane talking about one thing because we always talk about executive protection, but I want to talk about a broad scope of things. So my lives coming up, we're going to talk about the Alexander brothers. Those are the real estate agents who did the same thing with Diddy, and we're going to talk about Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, who was unalived in Manhattan. That's good, Justin. I will hopefully I will be up there in even Friday, maybe Friday. I may have to be up there sooner. My mom fell and hurt herself this morning, so she's in the hospital. But the crazy thing is, the last time I was there, I was so exhausted from the Diddy trial and the EP class that I put diesel exhaust fluid in my actual gas tank. So my Cadillac Escalade, it is a diesel, and I was so beat, man. I kept on putting the diesel exhaust fluid in there, and the funnel kept popping out. And I did it 4 times. I put 4 gallons of diesel exhaust fluid in the thing, and when I finally realized it, because the tanks, I mean, it's all in one the tank compartment, but where the gas cap is, but there's a thing for the diesel exhaust fluid and there's a thing for the diesel fuel. And I just kept putting it in there. It popped out. The truck was trying to tell me, no, this is not where you're supposed to put this at. So it kept kicking the thing out, and I just kept putting it in there. I said, what is wrong with this crazy thing? Not that it was something wrong with the funnel or the gas tank, it was something wrong with me. So one of my trucks is down, and then my other truck is already up there working in DC. So I don't even have any wheels down here in Raleigh, man. So I'm trying to get around. They can give me a rental reimbursement I have to pick up on Friday. So hopefully I'll be in town on Friday. And long story short, Justin, then hopefully we can have our meeting either Friday or the following week. But I do owe you paperwork and I do owe you a conversation, so we'll get that done. So, but I wanted to talk about, so when I come on here lately, I've been talking about the executive protection business. There are other scope of things I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the Alexander brothers. I'm going to talk about more about this Epstein case, and that's why we're on here today to talk about what happened with the termination of Maureen Comey. That's the former FBI director James Comey daughter, and she was fired this morning. They gave her the boot. And that was just insane that they did that, but really with no reason. So people are starting to wonder, okay, was it because she dropped the ball on the Diddy case? Or is it something far more sinister because our president, Donald Trump, whether you like it or not, he's your president. Whether people say he's not my president, they said Obama's not my president, Biden's not my president, Trump is not my president. No matter who gets into the White House, nobody will like them. Everybody's gonna say they're the worst president. They were bummed. They messed up the economy. They were a liar. They were crook. They say that about everybody that gets into to into office. And honestly, I think you have to be a crook to be into politics. I think everybody goes into politics with the intention to do good, but you find out that's not how things work in politics. And it's more of a play to pay game, and it's a more of a cover up type of thing. Look out for good old boy networks. We look out for each other. And that's why I believe one of the reasons that they fired Maureen Comey today. One, because she was James Comey's, the former FBI director who investigated Trump on Russia and some other things. And right now he's under investigation too. I think they just launched another investigation on him, and they had launched the investigation on him before. So Trump fired him the first time, and then now his daughter she prosecuted the Epstein case, she prosecuted the Diddy case, and now she's been fired with no explanation. They haven't given any explanation. They just showed her the door, and she's out. And so, Trump is on a rampage with a lot of people. My dogs are fighting. He's on a rampage with a lot of people, and he's getting people out that he doesn't want in, and he's replacing them with people who he wants in, and those people who are quote unquote are going to be loyalists. And when you look at Pam Bondi, the U.S. Attorney General, who's now in place, she looks afraid. She looks very afraid. She looks like she's walking on eggshells, and that she's trying not to say the right thing, and she's trying not to get fired. But I think at this level of the game, it becomes very, very dangerous to be in politics. And like I was saying, everybody starts with the intention of being good, but that's not how it works, right? So just to say you guys wanted to build a grocery store, and people aren't giving you the permits. They're not answering your phone calls or anything like that. But you really want to get this grocery store built. And you know me, and I'm on the city council, and you say, well, let me call Mel, or somebody that knows me say, hey, well, let me hook you up with my boy, the GOAT, Melvin Key, because he knows everybody. He's moving and shaking. I'm sure that he can get that done for you. So you call me, we set up a meeting, we sit down, we have a conversation. Where's my mic? Can you guys hear me? Well, I forgot. All right, put my mic on. You call me, we have a conversation. And I say, okay, listen, I can get that done for you, but listen, it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you. So basically, either I need you to write me a check, or it's more than nobody's writing a check. All of that stuff is under the table, or write it to my wife's corporation, or to this fund, or to this community organization, or whatever. But some kind of way I get this money. But most of it is cash under the table, and they get the deal done. You give me the money, I make the phone calls. Hey, I need you to get this done because I got power in the government office or the community or wherever I am. I tell the people to get it done. They do what I say and they get it done. You get your grocery store. It's a win-win for everybody. Now, they call that criminal, but honestly, that's how business is done. If you guys needed something done right now and you knew somebody that can get it done for you, you're going to call that person. And oftentimes that comes with a price. I think where it becomes criminal is when it is actually in politics, because they said you're not supposed to do that. But that's the way the game is played. No matter where you go, that's the way the game is played every day. And I think it's only when you step outside of the lines is when they throw the flag. Okay? They throw the flag, boom, you outside of the lines, i.e. Diddy. He sues the liquor company for discrimination and pretty much wins. So I'll say, okay, you stepped out of lines. You're not playing the game the way you're supposed to play the game. So we're going to show you who's boss. So that's what I believe was going on. But is it something even more centered to that? And we'll get to that in a minute. So what I'm saying that when we do these live, I don't always want to be talking about executive protection. It's my bread and butter. It's what I do. It's what I built my reputation on. But I want to give you guys a broad perspective of things to talk about. And covering the Diddy case was just one thing. The Brian Thompson United Healthcare CEO case is another thing. The Alexander brothers case is another topic that I'm going to cover. And then I'm going to go out to Minnesota. So I'm kind of going to become an investigative journalist as I transition from security guru, executive protection agent, to a normal everyday citizen. I'm going to be doing investigative journalism. And one of the cases that I'm most excited about is the hit list case, the Minnesota lawmakers case where I think his name is Vance Botler. He went and he killed the, he unalived, because you can't say that, this thing is to be censored and they'll kick us off the internet. But he unalived the congressman and the congresswoman, husband and wife, and then he went to the senator's house and husband and wife, and he attempted to assassinate them and their daughter as well. And I believe that the police interrupted that case. He exchanged gunfire with the police and fled and was caught later. And it was ironic that he didn't unalive himself and the police took him into custody without having to, exchange more gunfire with him. But this is the guy who had the mask on, the AR rifle, who was just like a police, knocked on the door, all of that good stuff. So that case is very interesting to me. And the reason that it is interesting to me, because it then ties back into actually what people like myself and you guys do, some of you guys do, is the executive protection piece. And a lot of times where I have to go toe to toe with these clients about their security and protection. There are people who work in very high profile positions in corporations and government who will just rather go it alone without security and protection. And there is another case that I'm going to talk about, and this just drives home the point about why these high profile, high powered people need protection. And so you say, okay, well, maybe they need protection while they're working, right? They're working, they're going to and fro from the office, they're traveling. They should have a protection team with them. Some people say at least a driver. Okay, I'll go with the driver, okay? Let's go with the driver. So they have at least a driver. So when the United Healthcare CEO was unalived, my phone started ringing immediately. One of the first corporations to call me was, guess who? No other than United Healthcare. One of the very first people who called me. So I took the call, and they were trying to organize or put in place armed executive chauffeurs or security drivers, so to speak. So this is what they were trying to do. And I said to them, simply, this does you no benefit at all. If you go back and watch the video of that homicide where he was unalived, you will see him walking down the street, and he's walking it past two SUVs parked curbside in front of the Hilton Hotel. As he passes that SUV, Luigi Mangione comes from in between the cars, pull out his firearm, points it, and then fires almost point blank range. And then he walks over him and plugs him a couple of more times, right? So let's just say that he got outside. He was in one of those SUVs and he got out, and Luigi Mangione walked in between the cars and did the same thing. As an executive protection agent, bodyguard, close protection agent, personal protection agent, whatever you want to call yourself, how could he have been protected? Or could you have been protected? See, what people have to understand, and I go through this a lot of time, executive protection and bodyguard work isn't reactive, it's proactive. So by the time you get out of the car to try to exchange gunfire, this guy's already going down the street and through the alley. And even if you have a clear shot on him, say you can line him up and take him out. You can't line him up and take him out because you don't have that authority to line him up and take him out. When he's fleeing, he's now a fleeing felon. And a police officer, if he did that in the presence of a police officer, of course, a police officer can open up with both barrels. And they can do that because it's called the fleeing felon rule. You are not a police officer. You're an executive protection agent, probably with the CCW license or a state armed carry license. And that does not allow you to unalive or exchange gunfire with the person who's fleeing away from you. Now, if you got out the car with them, so you have the driver, you have a personal protection officer, and you get out of the car with them, and then Luigi Mandione gets out with the firearm. Then you can exchange gunfire with them because you're actually in the act of protecting your principal or your protectee. But when you're a driver, then you got to get out of the car, and then you either have to pursue that person or exchange gunfire with them. But while you're pursuing this person, your principal is laying on the ground, and he's pretty much going into the next chapter of life. He's being unalive. He's losing blood, and your best action wouldn't be to go and exchange gunfire or chase somebody. It would probably be if you had your stop the bleed or TCC or some kind of medical certification, would be over there trying to patch him up so that he doesn't die. So this is where a lot of corporations don't understand, what we do. And so a lot of times you have to sell the people on what you do. And that's why they price shop, because they don't understand all what an executive protection agent does. And they also don't understand. I watch these videos with Beyonce and Julius, and I like Julius. I think he's a great guy. For you guys who know who Julius is, that's Beyonce's bodyguard. But why are both of these two billionaires walking around with one bodyguard? As popular as Beyonce is and Jay-Z is, and as big as their fan clubs are, why are they walking around pushing through crowds with one protection agent? It doesn't make sense to me. And Julius gets paid a lot of money. He gets paid a lot of money. And if for me, it could be a thing where the clients say, I don't want nobody but you. So again, this is where you have to go back and sell them. No, you actually need two people. You're making my life hard, and you're making it very dangerous for you. And not only dangerous, you could be inconvenienced by it just being one person. When we walk in a place, the guys who are going through my class, who are on here, people who actually do this work, we walk in the door. We don't want to walk through 200 people who are screaming, hollering, crying, begging, shouting, asking for autographs and selfies and pulling on you and touching on you. You don't want to have to deal with that. When I'm working with somebody, I want to walk in the door and out the door before somebody even knows we're in the place, we're out of the place. That's how I want to do. And if things don't look right when we get there, I want somebody to say, hey, boss, or whatever, mail, whatever, it don't look right here. So we're going to go scrap plan A. That was the initial plan. It looked good. We're going to go in another way. Okay. We're just going to go in and we're going to come out another way. But this is not how a lot of these people operate. And then some of these celebrities actually want that type of action. They want the paparazzi to pop out and take the pictures, because one good picture for a paparazzi person could be anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million if they get it to the right network. So, that is a problem. But if that's the case and they want those pictures, then just spend the money. It's not like they losing money. You got billionaires counting down like how much they're going to pay their security. It's like, really, what is your life worth? Right? And so a lot of these people want to be regular people, but they have to understand that they are not regular people. Case in point, today, I believe it happened last week, and they just found the bodies today. Robin, I believe I can't remember her name. Her first name is Robin, maybe Robin Hayes, but she was an executive on the show American Idol. They found her and her husband dead unalived in their home in Los Angeles. They said last Thursday, that one of the neighbors called and said that they saw someone jumping over the fence of their home. A beautiful home, tall walls. They said had spikes over top of the wall. So I don't know, this person was intentional about getting in there, but he jumped over the wall, and they called the law enforcement came out. They said it was too high. They couldn't get over the wall. So they had like a helicopter fly over. They couldn't see anything, and they called it off, and they went about their business. But somebody went there today, a pool person, somebody who worked on a pool, or assistant, or somebody went there today to check on the house, and they realized that it was a burglary. So they stepped out, called the law enforcement officers, and the LAPD went in there and found the American Idol executive and her husband unalived in their home. So these are people who are rich. These people who are powerful. These are people who could afford to have security. They could have different security measures. And when I'm looking at the the footprint of their home, the landscape of the home, I would say it was well designed. It was well designed, but if a person is intentional about getting you, they're going to get you. And so whatever the cost is, there's nothing to have 24-hour security when you're rich and powerful. So maybe those people don't want to spend that kind of money. But I've sat down and worked with a lot of rich and powerful people, and I see them spend more money on food, on a dinner on one night, than they would spend on security in one night. So just kind of aligning themselves, a good executive protection agent, and you would definitely need two, will cost you about $250,000 a year, right? So and they probably can get it cheaper. They can get it cheaper depending on, what agency they call and what they need, but they can get it about $250,000 a year. And I say that, right? $50,000. There's 2,080 work hours in a year for any individual. If you got a job, there's 2,080 work hours. Now, if you pay a person 50,000 times 280 2,080 hours, that's a little over 100,000. I think it's somebody be 140,000. I'll do the math real quick for you guys. Somebody do the math for me and tell me what it is. 2,080 hours times $50. Tell me what you get, what the math comes up with that. And while you guys are doing that, I saw some questions pop up, so I'm going to try to go back and answer those questions. Brother, you need to send $3K to the National Congo military. Motherland needs you. No, I need to come to Congo, and I don't have $3,000 to just be sending out. You got to see how bad the American economy is here. There are people, my daughter is well skilled, has a master's degree. We're talking about that. And right now she can't find a job. She's put in over 200 applications and she can't find a job. And I say things in America are 3 times as much as it was pre-COVID. So if you had $1 million before COVID, means that it's 3 times as less. My man, Jaquel, which means that it's 3 times as less as it was before COVID. So $1 million is now, $104,000. So $1 million is 3 times as less, which means you only have $250,000. That's how much your $1 million is worth. And if you have $250,000, you only have, your money is worth $50,000. So everybody is being cautious with money. And I, as a security professional or a security company owner, I am feeling the pain, trust me. But it has also been a double-edged sword for me, wherein that I am actually being able to do things like this, create more content for you guys, spend time with my family, play my music, my drums. You see my acoustic guitar back here. If I turn the camera over there, I have a bass guitar over there. Turn it around. All right, that's my bass guitar. I have a drum set over there. I have a electric piano, so I'm a musician. So I just get to lock myself in my room. This is my studio. This is one of my studios where I shoot my content. I get to lock myself in my room, do what I love, connect with people that I love who are distant away from me, and I get to work on my business plan for my security firm, for the executive protection school, to work on these courses, to get this class schedule together, to work on contracts that I have. All of this stuff is, I'm fine. Even though I'm down about $500,000 through this year, I am totally fine. But I have to say that I, as a business owner, am feeling the pain of what's going on with the economy. So I don't know if there was a joke about sending the $3,000 to Congo, but if you get $3,000 over there, somebody send me $1,500. I appreciate it. All right, let me see if Joanne's question. I thought I could insulate. I got myself some land, I got myself an RV, and now they say it's illegal to hook up electricity on my own land without already. Yeah, it's crazy. And so that's what land is the thing. A lot of people are buying tiny homes. I had one of my nurse practitioners, a very good friend of mine. She told me, she said, I sold my house, and the house was about $500,000. They bought 10 acres of land down here in North Carolina, and then they built a tiny home. And I said, well, how much was the tiny home? She said $63,000. She said it was the best investment I ever made. Not only did I build myself a tiny home for me and my husband, I also built one for my mother. And her house is right behind us, and we have a little path that leads back to my mom's house, and we can go out there and spend time with my mom every day. So things that I have been talking about, guys, don't chase money. Everybody has got to get this cash, got to get this cash, got to get this cash. Yes, you need cash to live, but let me just tell you that the American dream can also be the American nightmare. Money and material things will not make you happy. You have to be happy within yourself. You know, everything that comes around, there's holidays. If you think about holidays, they kind of make you, they connected to something emotional, you know, get you attached emotional. Whereas Christmas, Easter, all this stuff, you're emotionally involved in it. Birthday, holidays, Valentine's. And when you really think about it, what they say it's about, it's not even really about. So when you go, well, I went to Walmart to get something at Christmas time. I'm sorry, not Christmas time. What was it? Whenever it was the holiday before the 4th of July. Let's call it Valentine's. Whatever it was, fireworks was already in the Walmart. And I'm like, wow, why did fireworks? Was this like 2 months, 2-3 months ahead of time? So whatever that holiday was, this stuff is in there. So they get you to buy. You think about it. The average person spends money, and this is not even supposed to be about this. I'm just talking. I just kind of veered off into the economy. I'm going to get back to the Epstein and Maureen Comey and Diddy thing. So you guys just hang on. I'm coming back to that. But everything is get you to buy. So if it's Thanksgiving, you got to buy turkeys, you got to buy ham, you got to buy chicken, you got cranberry sauce, stuffing, macaroni and cheese, all of this stuff. People got to travel, they got to buy airline tickets, all of this stuff. They get all of this, so you're spending thousands of dollars. Think Christmas, you got Christmas lights, Christmas ornaments, Christmas tree, Christmas gift, airline tickets, hotels. Look at all the money that's being made. 4th of July, fireworks, all of this cookout, charcoal, grills, New Year's, champagne. Everything is about money, right? So it's about money, and basically you're going to spending your money based on emotion. But the people who are really making it, they taking your money, and their family has the best doctors, the best lawyers, the best education. They live in the best communities. They fly private jets, right? So all of this stuff. So we're basically, if you work for somebody, honestly, you're a slave. They have more slaves now. There used to be black slaves. Then they got white slaves, Hispanic slaves, Chinese slaves. And if you own a house, you don't own a house. The house owns you. Understand that. You only own a house when you pay the last note on it. That's when you own the house. And if you believe you own the house, miss a couple of payments and see who really owns the house. Understand what I'm saying? So don't get caught up in the capitalism and see most people, the more money to make, the more money they spend, right? And you don't want to be spending more money. So if now you're making 6 figures. So okay, I got to get a Lexus. I got to get a Mercedes. Got to get a G-Wagon. I got to get this bigger house. Got to live in this area code, right? All of this stuff. And there's really nothing going back into you to sustain you in the long run of your family. So they're passing off family wealth and legacy with your money and your hard-earned sweat and tears. And this thing but this topic isn't even about that. We got to come back to Maureen Comey, Sean P. Diddy Combs, and Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, what this topic was really about. But I just had the latest on you guys because I really see the big picture. And for me, money, it don't move my meter like that. Let me just say that. It's necessary, but it doesn't move my meter like that, because the American dream also becomes the American nightmare, right? So, was just talking about these people who are able to finance security, but don't. A lot of them want to be regular people. I've had people who hire me say, hey, we want you here, but we don't want you here. And so what do you mean? So we don't want you to look like security, and we don't want you to be close to us, but we want you to be close by. Okay, so how close by? How close by do you, because I can follow the rules, but the guys who work in this industry, our minds aren't wired like, hey, be close by. We're like, okay, you hired us because we're, one, the best at what we do, and 2, we're in protection mode. So close to me is, again, we always say, you don't want to be on their heels. You don't want them to smell your perfume, but you do want to be close enough if the shit hits the fan that you can get them out of it. So, but a lot of corporate executives are now starting to feel the pain, and this is a great time for you guys who work in the executive protection business. I am just telling you this because people are getting scared and people are getting bold. And going back to the American Idol lady who was and her husband who was unalived. The person, they have a name. Not only they have a name, they made an arrest. It was a 22-year-old who committed the crime, and they caught him within hours. Now, how they caught him is the question. So there was a case in D.C. where these wealthy people, they had like people working at their house. They had chef, pool boy, landscapers and stuff like this. But for some reason, I think this guy was some kind of way connected. It's been quite a few years, and the guy broke into the house and he unalived the daughter, which is like 6 or 7. He unalived the father and the mother and maybe one of the housekeepers. I can't remember. But they caught him in a few hours. I said, well, damn, how did they catch him? They caught him off of the DNA off a pizza crust. Because not only did he do that and he set the house on fire, but he ate some pizza. And they took the pizza crust and they whatever they did to DNA. And I'm thinking within 24 hours, this dude was in jail. It might have been less than 24 hours. So I'm imagining either this young man who jumped the fence and did this to the American Idol executives, that he even left a fingerprint and he was already a previous criminal, or they took a DNA sample from something in the house and traced it back to him. But that was just some ideas that I have. It could be the guy was sending text messages, emails. It could be the boyfriend of a daughter, or it could be anything. It could be the boyfriend of the husband, and I'm trying to, a boyfriend of the wife. Who knows what this was about? Black Rock, Mr. Fink. All right, so I'm going to answer a question. The more money you make, the more money they take. That's right. So Lee says, Mr. Key, do you feel that EP agents should be given more authority to do the job more effectively? Maybe not as much as LEO, but something that doesn't tie the agent's hands behind the back. I think that a good training class, you don't need authority, you need good training how to do things. And you also, as an EP agent, you're a negotiator. You have to sell the protection to the people that you're protecting. Again, oftentimes they don't want it. So no matter what kind of authority they give you, you're not going to be able to execute it if the principal doesn't want it. And therein lies the problem. And what's going on is that a lot of people just don't know what they're doing, because you should be able to walk in and out of place without ever being anybody ever knowing you're there. And if they know you're there, you should be able to get out of there without them knowing you know that you're coming out. But if you actually do get out, if you are able to get out and you just have to go through a way, then that plan should be formulated how you're going to get out. So if you're doing, when people ask you to provide protection to them, they shouldn't say, hey, I need a bodyguard or I need one agent, because you should be able to kind of bat that back over the fence and say, that's not going to work. Here are the circumstances. Here's why. Here's what I recommend, and here's why. If you can do that, you can get in, you can move around almost with impunity and not be bothered. In 30 years of my time, the only time that I have been inconvenienced and with crowds of paparazzi or anything like that is when the principal didn't listen to me. Any other time, when they just sit back and take my lead, they're not questioning why you got 5 guys, how come you got somebody standing at the room, how come you got a driver, and how come this guy's not driving the car? I said, because he can't drive the car, because I need him to do something else. If he's in the car, how will we know where we're going when we get there? A lot of people, I've been to countries. When I first started this, I've been to other countries where I was my only person, where I'm on a private jet. I fly there with them. I've never been to these places before, but I know that because then that's called advanced work. I know that I couldn't be there, that I would have to get on the phone and call. Back then, I don't even think they had Google Maps. I think we had, what was it, MapQuest and Yahoo Maps or something like that. You had to print the stuff off to figure out where you was going. So, and phone calls, if you call somebody in Bermuda or the UK, that was a long distance phone call, that you had actually paid for. So now things are different. It's much easier. You just got to learn your craft, Mr. Lee. You got to learn your craft. If you haven't taken an executive protection class, I highly recommend that you get into one of my classes. We have classes, 7 classes going on through November of next year. So the one's in DC, one's in this year, one's in DC, one's in Miami. Then we come back, we go to Vegas in February, back to DC in March, New York, Toronto, and then Dallas. So one of those places, just check out my website, www.trustin, M as in Mary, V as in Victor, P as in Paul.com. Click the training link. And right now, if you register for any class from now until the end of next year, as long as you register before the end of the month, it's 50%. Use the promo code MVP50, and it's 50% off of any class. And I'm telling you, there's no place. This is the fastest growing executive protection school in the world, and there's no place that I know that's going to teach you the things that I teach you from my 30 years of experience, where you can go out there and become an operator almost after you leave class, if you picked up the skills, and 2, if you have the character, the right character. So let's get back to this Maureen Comey thing. So Maureen Comey is the prosecutor who prosecuted the Sean P. Diddy Combs case and also the Jeffrey Epstein case. Well, this morning she came to work to no job. You know, they showed her the door, sent her packing, and people are wondering, conspiracy theorists, myself, regular people, like, what is going on here? Why did they fire her? Did they fire her because she dropped the ball on the Diddy case? If that's the case, she was the lead prosecutor, but she even has somebody over her that she has to bounce things off before she runs the play. This is a playbook. Okay, what do you think? The coach said, okay, go back in there, run the 42 red, flank to the left, option 82, and number, Santana Mars or whoever should be wide open. Whatever. They call the plays, she executes. That's how that goes. And of course, she has a lot of say into how to attack the case, but was what she did, was that really the cause of her being fired? Or was it because, as we see it was going on, that Trump is very dismissive about the Epstein case? If nothing was at foot, nothing was a foul, it's very easy to say, well, if they want to look, let them look. Release the files, right? I remember when I had a large IRS bill, and they were like, hey, well, we want to come and get in your business. I said, oh, shit, if you want to come and get in my business, come and get in my business. I don't have nothing to hide. You know what I mean? I pay my taxes. Whatever you need to do, come and look at, because I have nothing to hide. And I feel like that should be done in this case. If there's nothing afoot, there's nothing to file, there's no dirty hands, there's no dirty penises or whatever, then why not let the people look? And why be so defensive about it? See, the reason why I believe that Maureen Comey was fired is because, one, let's go before they were fired. The reason that they brought Sean Combs to trial is because they searched that house and they talked about cameras in that house. They talked about cameras in the house, but in that trial, they didn't talk about any cameras in the house. They talked about cell phone footage, and they recovered the cell phone footage. But even Donald Trump was in that house, went to those parties. Bishop T.D. Jakes went to those parties. All kind of high-profile people went to these parties. And so there was probably evidence of these high-profile people doing things that they had no business doing. And the same with the Epstein files or the Epstein list or the Epstein case. This man trafficked 250 underage young ladies all across the world, not the United States, not New York, not Miami, across the world on his private jet, where he actually had a log, and they say he kept meticulous notes about who he dealt with and who his customer base was and who was on that jet. See, it's not only a flight log, but he had kept meticulous notes, and they said his house was wired for sound, cameras in every room. He had princes, he had presidents, he had high-level government officials, celebrities, Woody Allen, all of these people were in his house. So you tell me, how is these people in his house? And they say, well, there's no Epstein list. Well, if there's no Epstein list, Why did Epstein go to jail? Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail? Why is she now filing an appeal? And I believe I saw something that Trump said, forget about the appeal. I said yesterday, if Ghislaine Maxwell, they want to have a congressional hearing, which I've seen many congressional hearings with no real result. It's almost like a flipping sideshow where the senator, well, not the senators, the Congress, the lawmakers get to show off, you know, embarrass people and ask outrageous questions and demean them. That's what I see. But if Ghislaine Maxwell gets a congressional hearing, she will never make it there unless she's under an armored vehicle and armed law enforcement and security people. But that's no guarantee either, because remember Jeffrey Epstein and the MDC Center in Brooklyn, New York, under law enforcement correctional security and the suicide watch, and he still commits suicide. And anyway, did anybody get fired from that? Like, did the warden or the head of corrections get fired for that? I'm not sure, but I'm just kind of curious, did they get fired for it? And here it is. They have cameras. And the only place they have a camera is when you watch the camera, you believe that this door that these correction officers were walking in and out, this is Jeffrey Epstein's cell. They would have you to believe that until somebody breaks it down and said, no, the cell was actually down there, down over the rail where you can see people walking past periodically. So if the cell was down there and that was the suicide place, what's so important about the door on the upstairs where they got the camera on? Shouldn't the camera be on the door where the suicide watch was? And they both, you got two guards and both of them are conveniently asleep. Nobody does their 15 or 30-minute checks. They just, you know, they would conveniently sleep. And I get it. I've worked many a midnight shifts as a law enforcement officer, and you get sleepy, and I've been to sleep. So I can see that happening, but why is it just conveniently happens for this guy during this time? Somebody who's so important, somebody who can drop names. Remember I told you when Elon Musk is talking about Donald Trump, he's beefing with Donald Trump. Elon Musk is not beefing with Donald Trump. Elon Musk is beefing with the United States government. And there are no bigger gangsters on the face of this earth than the United States government. And they have hitmen on their payroll who actually enjoy doing what they do, right? And their biggest mobsters are the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, and the Internal Revenue Services, both who I highly respect. Listen, I highly respect them, but if they get on your case, it's over. And I believe the people who are involved in this Epstein case, in this Diddy case, are too high to topple. You guys remember when Enron and all of that stuff and all of those investment banks were back in, I think it was 2007, when they were committing all of that crime, and they said that they were too big to fall, and so so instead of letting these companies fall, that the government actually invested money in them so that they didn't collapse. It's the same here. These people who run these organizations, these people who are involved with Jeffrey Epstein are too big to fall. Think about it. Sean Diddy Combs had two women that he was in a relationship with. And I'm not condoning his behavior by far. But to charge this man with the RICO for two women, that when I watched the videos and I watched some of the, you know, the toots, the ex-workers that were involved with them, they said that, you know, both of the young ladies enjoyed it. And on their own time, when Diddy was away, that they actually called them and made hookups on their own. One guy saying Cassie was even pregnant by her, and he's suing her. So these are people that Diddy was in a relationship with. Now, he did do the domestic violence thing, and some of that domestic violence is because they were hooking up with the toots, the workers that they brought in. That's what some of that was about. So let's go charge this man with a RICO for some relationship problems, some morality problems, not legal problems. Yeah, he was an alcoholic. Yeah, he was a drug addict. And yeah, he may have forced these young ladies to do something, which is a crime in itself. And remember, I'm pro-prosecution. So I said, according to the law, when you read the law line by line, everything that they accused him of, he could have been convicted of. I'm a firm believer of that. I believe that he violated the law. But the question is, why did they charge the man anyway? For his personal moral issues. You know, and then just to go back to look back, Daphne Joy or Jane Doe, she still lives in the house that Diddy is paying $10,000 a month for. And he also paid for the lawyer who represented her during his criminal trial. So, you know, that's what Mark Agnifilo said. It said, this is not about, you know, RICO and drug trafficking. This is about love, money, and jealousy. And even the guy who's suing Cassie, you could tell that he was in love with Cassie. He's suing Cassie because he is jealous. Just listen to one of the interviews. He's jealous. And this is kind of how that stuff works. But nonetheless, why did he have two people that he was in a relationship with? Why was he charged with what he was charged with when you got a man over here with 250 women, oh, not women, girls, that he's done the same, that they've done the same thing to? Drug, ex-trafficked or human trafficked, R-aped them. Why the charges the same? And when they said this, and this is when I knew something was wrong, that they said that the Attorney General's office said that or the U.S. Attorney's office said there was not enough evidence to convict the people who would have been alleged or whose names came up in the Epstein case. There's not enough evidence to convict them. But yet instead you're seeing Homeland Security, all of these law enforcement agents with high-power rifle kicking this man's door for personal problems, morality problems that he had with two people he in a relationship with. And I mean, listen, I believe that he's a bad guy. I believe that he's beat people out of the money for their records, you know, and gypped them out of their money, didn't treat them right. I believe that it's some of the things they're saying about Biggie, Tupac, some of those things are probably true, but they have yet to be proved and they have yet to be charged. So we only can speculate on that. But what we know about Jeffrey Epstein, he had 250 young girls, over 250 if you go read the reports, young girls on his private jets, people, Obama, Trump, Woody Allen, Bill Clinton, all of these people who have been on this plane whose names have come up in there. Could you imagine if, oh, yep, and Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, what would happen to America if these people's name got out and they were involved in having relations with these young girls underage? Just think about that. What would happen to it? So was this thing this firing of Maureen Comey because she fumbled the ball on the Diddy case? Because she did well on the Epstein case. So was it one thing? They didn't give an explanation. Was it that? Or was it because Donald Trump, President Trump, he had a beef with her father, James Comey, based on James Comey investigation to Russiagate and election fraud and all of this stuff? Was it that? Because James Comey is under investigation again. They didn't say why. So could it be that because of that beef? Or could it be because Maureen Comey knows a lot about the Epstein case and they're afraid that she's going to turn evidence? But again, if the system is rigged to protect the rich and powerful, no matter what she says outside of coming out in the press conference and saying it just like right out there, I've had the files, I've seen the files. My father, they said that her father, James Comey, has verified that there is an Epstein list. He said that. So could it be that? Could it be because she knows because she prosecuted him? And they say, we got to get her out of here. Now, outside of her coming out and saying in a press conference, an unannounced press conference, boom, hey, NBC, Fox News, whatever, she flies to London or somewhere and say, I want to tell my story. And there was a list, and these are the people who were on it. Outside of that, any other kind of way, I believe that she gets unalived too. That's what I believe. Rich and powerful, man. I think if y'all believe it's a cover up, you believe it's a cover up. What are your thoughts on? What are your thoughts on it? Let me see if we got some questions here. All right, that was the last question. Yeah, what are your thoughts on it? And if you got a phone call today and you're in the protection industry, would you go and protect her? And if you did, would you consider that high risk protection? And if you did, how much would you charge? And if you did, how many people would be on your security team? And what are some of the recommendations that you would make to keep her safe? Would it be 24-hour security, residential security, armored vehicles, armed agents? And I think a lot of people, when they start talking and thinking about the protection industry, a lot of people are focusing on firearms and to protect their principles. And there is a time, and I say 98% of the executive protection jobs in the world are unarmed. But I believe that the way that the world is going, the way that the economy is going, this is prime time for you guys who work in the executive protection industry or are starting to get into the career of executive protection. This is prime time, man. Listen, I'm just kind of kicking back, waiting for the phone to ring because people are running scared. And as the money tightens up, we're not only important or wealthy, I want to say we're all important or wealthy people. VIPs are going to need security. All of you guys are going to need security. So if you're on here and you don't have a concealed carry, you don't have a weapon in a home, I believe that you should get one. I really do. I really believe that you should get one. I believe that you should be training with your sidearm, because there's going to become a time in this society that we're in that man is going to be pitted against man, race is going to be pitted against race, and then you're going to have people who are upstanding citizens who are fed up with the government, fed up with big pharma, fed up with corporate America, and they're going to be doing their thing out there. They're going to be doing their thing. I posted a while back on my Instagram page, I posted a post with Mark Zuckerberg, his security team, and I said, if you had this one skill, you could join Mark Zuckerberg's team. And the skill wasn't fighting, it wasn't shooting, it wasn't driving, it wasn't risk assessment, threat assessment, it wasn't none of that. The skill was simply running. Mark Zuckerberg is an avid runner. And everybody that's on the security team, you don't work on the security team unless you can run a marathon. So I talked about that. So I posted that, and it's on his YouTube channel too. So I posted that on my Instagram page, and then a person popped up on the Instagram page, and they started talking crazy. They was like, he's like, I'm going to California to see my daughter, and if Facebook doesn't get it right, they're gonna wish that they would. They're gonna wish that they would have. I'm gonna make an example out of it. And I was like, wow. And then he said something else, and it was really, really crazy. So I screenshotted it, and I got two good guys. One guy, Ben Coleman, I think he's no longer with Facebook, and Mike. Both of them work with Facebook. Ben was high up in the executive protection, so he was responsible for taking care or managing or staffing the agents that protect that protect the Facebook executives. So I said, Ben, man, you got to check this out. This guy said he is coming there and he's going to do something. Now, remember I told you guys the other day there's risk assessment and threat assessments. Now, this guy made threats. and he said he was going there. So now this is a threat assessment. This is no longer a risk assessment. This is a threat assessment. And I said, you probably want to check this guy out because he's, you want to check out the veracity and his capability to carry out what he said. And so if I get a name, say for example, somebody makes a comment like that on one of my principals' social media pages, I try to do on my investigative sides. And you guys who are in security, if you own a security company, I want to give you some tools that you can use to find information on investigative tools to find information on people, but you have to have a private investigator's license and a security company license to do this. If you have that, then you can get access to these platforms where you can research stuff like people's address, their tags on their vehicles. You can put in their name, find out where they live at, find out who else lives in the house, who their children are, what their social media profiles are. Just by putting in their email, you don't even need to know their social media profiles. So you can track that all down into one thing and kind of, get information on these people that help you to track them down. You can also see where they work at, if they have any state permits, including firearm permits. So these are tools that let you know that this person not only made these threats, but they're actually capable of carrying these threats out. So you get those tools, and then you take those tools to investigate, and then you build your protection program or team or resources around what you found out in that investigation. Okay, so, but there are people now who are, and it's being carried out. I mean, I'm talking about it, but it's actually being carried out in the manner and the way that I said it. One, the shooting, the unaliving of the congressman and the attempted unaliving of the senators in Minnesota. And that guy, if you don't know, I'm going out to that trial when it kicks in. That guy had a hit list of 46 politicians that he was going to take care of. He was going to unalive 46 politicians. So that's just one case. The American Idol case that happened this week when they found the bodies today, that was a case. We've never, who was it, since Reagan, we haven't had an attempted assassination on a sitting or United States president or presidential candidate. We haven't had that happen since Reagan, but it happened. And it happened not only once, it happened in a matter of like 60 days, 90 days with now President Trump, who was then the presidential candidate for the United States. Tried to unalive him twice. And so these things are happening all over the world, but it's becoming more prevalent in the United States. And people are fed up with Big Pharma. They're saying that Big Pharma is the medical care, the medical industry, that they're overcharging the patients. They're suing patients. They're doing a whole lot of stuff. What's going on, user? Appreciate you for coming back. So this is what's going on in society. And if you are in the executive protection business and you have a company, you can brand your company the right way. You can brand yourself the right way. If you're using the internet the correct way, if you build your website the right way, if you have the proper training and certifications, and if you're in the right circles in the network. So yeah, this is a prime time for you guys to blow up in the executive protection industry. It's prime time for your brand to blow up. But also remember, while you're protecting these people, you also need to protect yourself. I had a billionaire who was threatened to be kidnapped, and they tried to kidnap him, so he hired me, and I'm doing all of this stuff, and I'm telling him, hey, you need to wipe your address and you need to do this, and we're trying to find locations for them to move, his family and all of this stuff. And then I started thinking, well, damn, what about my family? What about my family? Because if these people have tracked this man down and they're trying to unalive him, well, when they see me, they see my vehicles, I'm protecting them. They just like anybody. These people are good. They can run a tag number or have connections and resources to get tag numbers and find out who's who. So in order to get to them, they get to me. So then I had to start going to wipe my address and all of my internet profile and clean my stuff up and make myself secure for my family. And what I'm talking about to you guys now, I'm also going to talk about in a separate subject about working in the industry, working for high profile people. And for me, last year, 256 days are gone. The year before, 238 days on a roll. So I was away from home more than I was at home. And at the same time, how have you prepared your family to protect themselves? If it's not from, somebody who could be tracking your client, but in general, from somebody, burglaries in the neighborhood, or, they're out in public, have you prepared them to protect themselves? Do you teach them to train? Do you train them? Do you take them to the gun range with you? Do you make sure that if they can legally have a concealed carry license, that they have a concealed carry license? Do you teach your wife how to carry a firearm, and not in her purse, but to carry it on her? You make sure that she has the proper firearm and knows how to use it. Your daughters, do you put them in a self-defense school? Do you make sure that they have pepper spray? Do you teach them how to be aware of their surroundings? All this stuff is important. So you guys got to start thinking outside of the box, other than, just what you're doing. It's bigger than that. And again, that's why I've been so successful at this, and I want to help you guys be successful. It is 11 o'clock, and definitely time for me to go to bed. And listen, I was out. I got a video. Jaquel, I'm gonna send it to you. Bungie, I'll send it to you. But I was filming this video, and I had two of these things in my. I guess I dropped it out of my pocket, but I tracked it back to where I was. So I'm gonna go back out there and see if I can find it. It's about 30 minutes away. But nonetheless, it's been great. I hope you guys enjoy my content. If you can, if you're still on here, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you don't mind, if you want to send a super chat, please do. It'll be an honor to me. But what I'm going to do, whether you send me a super chat, whether you give me a like or not on my content on this video, I'm going to continue to do this, because my ultimate goal is, one, protecting people, but helping other people out. So if they ask me what my purpose is in life, it is to make the world a better place. Right? My father always says, leave a place in a better condition than you found it. And everything that I do, I leave in a better condition than I found it. Whether it's a job, whether it's a opportunity, a house that I lived in. If I went to the park and went fishing, I'm there fishing. I'm not leaving my trash on the ground. I'm also picking up trash that people left around, because I respect the environment. I know as far as I know, we only have one planet, and I would like it to be around. We won't see it, but I would like it to be around for my descendants, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and so forth and so on. But more importantly, to just sum it up, I also believe that you should leave people better than you found them, right? We have a lot of people who are lost in their ways, who don't know how to navigate business, who don't know how to navigate life, and with life experience, I have 54 years of it. And I'll tell anybody, I've been just 3rd-degree burns on both of my arms. It was burned down to my fingers. My face was burned, back of my hair, got pictures. I've been shot. I've been stabbed. I've been run over by a car, been cheated on, discriminated against, lied, backstabbed, all of this. The worst that you can imagine happened to a person, I've had happen to me. And I'll tell you, out of all of that, I've had nothing but 54 years of good days. Not one bad day. And that's mentality, And I believe that with that, I've been overly blessed, and I believe it's my responsibility, my duty, my purpose here on this earth, to leave people and the earth and the places that I go better than I left them. All right, it's the Security Czar with Go TV. I hope y'all like the shirt. Got some new stuff coming out. You can get this shirt on Amazon. I will also put this in the description of this video when it's over. So if you go back and watch it, or you want to figure out how to get the shirt, I even put it in my community description of this video. And also, I don't have any cans of it, and it's probably while I'm still up right now, but Goat Fuel. It's quickly becoming the #1 energy drink in the United States. It's by Hall of Fame San Francisco 49er receiver Jerry Rice. It has all natural ingredients, 0 sugar, 200 milligrams of natural caffeine, cordyceps mushrooms, and the best thing about it, it has 0 crash. It powers me all day long. I drink one in the morning And you see I'm still wired. I should be asleep by now, but I'm here talking to you guys until tomorrow. Only day I probably won't be on here is the weekend, but until tomorrow, let's say about 9:30, you want some more content, you want to hear some more dope stories, check me out, all right? Security Czar with Go TV. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace. I'm out. And I didn't ask y'all, did you have any questions, but it's too late now. So if you got questions, come back tomorrow and then ask them tomorrow. I'll be here. Thank you, user. Send me a DM or something so I can know your name. I'd like to know your real name, but thank you. I appreciate you joining. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you watch my content. I got a lot of dope stuff on here that you can learn from. All right, guys. I'll tell you what. I give you a couple of more minutes before I just jump off like that. Does anybody have any questions? Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. All right, no questions. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll be back here on 9:30. Love you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm out.